Good morning. Well, assuming this closes this way, the bear case is setting up. Our discussions have been move above this high, right? Tag the 50 thereabouts and then roll over. But looks like the news is making that happen ahead of time, where it's just a retest of the pivot. I'm going to get it right one of these mornings, guys. How many times can I do this? I got you. I got you. Thank you for telling me. All right. So charts are up there, and I'm on the S&Ps here, the futures. And I say this most mornings, the bar's not done. You know? So it could look like a bottoming tail bar by the end of the day. We don't know yet. So assuming it doesn't recover, this did come down, right? Hard and fast. It's on the pivot here, right? We're looking across the support, which is the prior day's low. Prior day's low is not always a pivot. And I just want to make that point. Could be some kind of a base. Anyway, got a pivot, look to the left. There's some support there. Just kind of pushing through it here. So a little more bearish that it may stall. I'm looking at the 5-minute, really hasn't stalled yet. So retesting the pivot, just looking at the technicals and, forgetting about the news. We got to push up into here. We got a downtrend. Looks like it could be a little double top, kind of an M top. That's a momentum move. Obviously, to really get bearish, it's got to cut through there, and then down we go. So where does this bar end at the end of the day? We'll all see in a few hours. Maybe it closed. The more it closes below that low, obviously, the more potent it is. Now, I would suspect at some point during the day, it's going to try and bounce. The question is, where does it try and bounce from? Meaning it may just jiggle around here. And you can see the momentum is slowing a bit. And I can tell that just because the candle body is smaller on this bar. Now, this bar's still got almost 5 minutes to go. So I could get another wide bar. Who knows? Looking at the 15. I'm just looking at this and okay, it's at that pivot. What's that pivot? All right. So that pivot is this pivot here on the 15, and it's cutting through it. So it's an area. So this could easily tag 4,500. And then there's that pivot down there. And that looks like it's lined up with the 20 MA. Yeah, look, see my cursor on the 15-minute chart, the pivot? It's lined up with the 20 MA there. So that would be a big candle to close that way. Yeah. Engulfing that and coming deeper into this bar. And I would, kind of like more confident, ensure that it goes down. I can't ensure anything, but it could chop around. But with such a bar, if it ends that way, it certainly suggests it's going through these lows, and which will then, by the end of the day, tomorrow, set up that sell setup on the weekly that we've been talking about would set up unless we got a deep retracement up here. All right, spiders. Yesterday's gap up, just hung there and just jiggling around. And now 451, that is a nasty gap. And that, well, those two bars, you know what I'm thinking here? The term island reversal, but usually the island reversal doesn't have days between it like that. Usually you have bars that are like this. You had a gap up, you got a gap down, and then this gap's down, and you got the bars here. That's like I don't know what the hell you call that. It's like the bridge blew up and it fell down here. So now prices are gapping down here into the support. And remember yesterday we were talking about, look, here's the gap up, and if it could come down into these highs, that would be where we'd want to buy it. And it never did that. And, that was bullish price action, but it was just a grind, at this resistance area. Didn't do anything. An abandoned baby, but yeah, an abandoned baby is one where it's like up, 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 and you get a gap, and then it gaps down, and all these different names is, like that slide and empty live, whatever you want. In this case, whatever you want to call it, it's bearish. Make up your own favorite names. Yeah, so the only thing that could be more bearish is gapping down below these lows, but I would suspect the gap of that big would get bought, and then we chop around. So I suspect this is not going to be an easy day. It's kind of weird. It's news driven. It's a sizable gap. It's gapping into support. Who the hell wants to buy? You always can think that way when things can turn around, but no, it's bearish. Well, let's look at the cues. 359, 359, gapping down into the support. It's got that floor there to deal with. And so it's going to be caught between the supply and the demand. Longs from yesterday, this sure looked like it should gap up, right? I mean, that's what shock patterns are about. And this is gapping below that low. That's a shocker. It's opposite of what was anticipated by the chart. And look, it was all questionable as far as going up, but the price action was strong enough to believe it could have another day in it. And now this news comes out, and well, you know what it is. You called it. We're buying into. Yeah, I mean, I called it a week ago. I just didn't know how it was going to play out. No, nobody knows the future. It's just that when we look at price patterns, so me, I like to compare our fantastic, amazing master trader method compared to the indicator-based methodology rabbit hole garbage, right? So they come up with their fib extensions and planetary alignments and Gann squares and so on and so on and so forth. We just look at historical patterns. It's like that was bearish. It broke all that support. It's going to come up into resistance. We'll see how far it can get. And the call was maybe it stops there, and maybe it can get a little bit higher, the higher low, higher high, roll over. Weekly time frame is just a bearish setup that rolls back over now. So this one I didn't call. This is an odd one, right? The gap down. This is okay. So here's a bullish island reversal, and now it's gapping below it. It's like a failure of a failure. It's like Mike Tyson just punched you in the face, and you just kind of got up, and somebody else pinched in the face the other way. It's a crazy kind of a pattern. It's one to record and put in the books. Anyway, now the question becomes, can it break below? I don't know if this is all connected on that chart there. Yeah. Can it break below there? So gapping down, into this area there, so I say it's going to be difficult as it's caught between those levels, and buyers and sellers try to battle it out. And maybe institutions trying to manipulate it a little bit to get out of their overnight bullish patterns without too much pain. Russell, reversal, it was the weaker, little congestion there. Squinching that up. There really wasn't much to the left, and that's why we thought this could, keep going. So I see these overlapping bars here. So here's a little something to consider. When you look at a pattern like this, an overlapping bars, sometimes you see a base. This thing we've got like whips up and down, kind of like holes. I look at it as being like holes in the wall over here. So in reality, this is irrelevant as I look to the left. And it's just about this pivot. Really not about the two pivots. It's about that. And it couldn't get there. And so now this has created resistance where, we initially look at something as saying, hey, it's basing and it's in an uptrend and it's got a void. And now the idea of it going higher is over. And that is one of the reasons you know, behind bar by bar analysis and the concept of creating support and resistance. All of these things are meant not only to do the analysis, but to also keep you in the moment of saying, look, you got your money tied up and you're saying, hey, I think this is going to happen. And, all of a sudden, your bias is like some kind of hope mode. This isn't really happening. It's like the sun really isn't coming up. And I know you know what I'm saying? You're kidding yourself, and down it goes. So these are obvious things that are part of the method, but they're powerful things because they force you. Even if this means you're losing a chunk of money, it forces you to recognize what's happening and come up with a game plan. How are you going to deal with it? Dow, that one made the higher high. It's been showing relative strength. Now, same story. Where does it close? It's down at the bottom of this bar. You're seeing the same pattern. And what's more bearish about this is that it went sideways for hours. Right? The news didn't come out where it was going up and it just made a high and just collapsed back down again. No, here you have bullish institutions and traders, whoever, accumulating here in anticipation that it's going to go higher. And so as we look at the chart, as we always do, we recognize that picture as a representation of what others believed and what their expectations are. And has that changed? And has it changed in a potent way? And yes, it has. So can they rally it back up there? I think that's unlikely. We do see miracles happen, but that would be a miracle day. All right. There's Bitcoin. All right, starting to make a turn. So Bitcoin rolls over and breaks the base, same idea, but it's at the bottom of the trading range. Disney's up 9 pre-market. Well, it ain't saving the Dow. Something else is going down, Doug. Yeah. And crude oil. We spoke about that yesterday. Not really doing too much of anything. We talked about the wide range bar, potentially ending the move, even though it's looks like it could get to 100, but now it's got some work to do. Silver up a little bit, kind of stalling there. And gold stalling. It was a good setup down here. We covered that yesterday. And transports. I don't know what that dot is, but that was last night. So maybe transports are going to be the silver lining today. I don't know. I'm not sure what this is, but we'll see where it ends up. Because if it ends up, we get a red bar here, and all the other red bars, there's nothing else to think other than it's going down. Oh, wow. The 3-month poking up like that. Oh, you know what? This is just a thought. We don't know what's going to happen. But when I see something like this, I get the thought, I want to share it because I've experienced this type of thing in my 30 years. So the anticipation is that the Fed is going to raise interest rates in March. Right? And based on this chart, maybe half a point. There's debate about that. Well, March isn't far away, but what if they did it next week? Now, I've experienced that, like in the middle of the trading day with open positions, the Fed came out, this was many, many years ago, and they made a move on interest rates. And you know how news kind of leaks out? Well, I see the charts start jiggling in a really weird way. Same thing happened in 9/11. So when the news came out, I was already thinking something's up here, and I was able to get out without getting decimated, with the Fed thing or, flipping. But on 9/11, I'm long, came in, over the weekend, long queues, and the charts start jiggling a really weird way. And I go to hit the sell button and nothing works. And, you know, the story behind that. Anyway. All right. So that's a big move. And 5-year going up, 10-year must be going up. So, yeah, there's a lot of bear stuff going on here. Yep. Yep. Doesn't matter about being climactic. You know, there's the climactic. You know, what's extended could become more extended. So it's only becoming climactic and bearish after it forms a big reversal bar. And so just because it's extended here doesn't mean it can't keep going up. What are yours, Dan?
Good morning. Yeah, we knew there was going to be gap risk today. And you know what I heard Steve Lee, somebody was saying, CNBC, that before the next Fed meeting in 5 weeks, we have another CPI. So I just think this CPI is just the media just puts whatever they, you know, the flavor of the week or the day in your face. And that's what everyone says, oh, okay, so now it's time to focus on this. You know, earnings and interest rates. So what's going to move interest rates in terms of what's the Fed going to look at is inflation, employment, and Corona, but Corona seems to be fading. Even the blue states now are kind of changing their tune. Somebody must have finally got to them saying, y'all aren't getting any brownie points for this. So yeah, we had a number of things going against us here. I had a Costco alarm go off. We have way out of the money put spreads, but you know, we don't like it retracing this much, but nothing to do right now. Just had a Globe alarm go off. That's a long that we bought yesterday. So I'll go through everything. Let's go right to a bunch of gappers here, unless you all have a question about any individual position. Actually, I had Sting alarm for the last couple days, and that's actually looking good. 30-minute high. There was a lot of bottoming patterns. Look at F cell here, but that's off the high. I gave plug yesterday into the close, but I purposely didn't want overnight gap risk with CPI. So it's still valid if it takes out yesterday's high. I still like that pattern. So just set your alarm and see what it does. MQ, kind of a W, slowing momentum, bullish new low divergence, and it's gapping up. So that's interesting. I'll put that in the window. Mike, IRNT, but here's a bottoming pattern. Look at yesterday's volume, gapping up to 436. That's worth watching. I'll put that in the window. Disney is what made the Dow positive this morning. Nice blowout here. Still holding relatively very well compared to everything else. I heard on TV they said their theme park business is back to pre-corona. That's pretty darn impressive. It's very impressive. I don't see much to do with it now. Toyota's an ADR gapping down. Zynga over yesterday's high. If it can retrace this pre-market bearishness. Here's a big bottoming pattern. Look how long that bottom took, and we're above the 20. Looks like it's opening relatively flat. That would be a put spread idea. Sono up $1. Has a little void, but I'm going to be a whole lot more particular in new longs. The pre-market is not bouncing of the four horsemen. Oh, we did an IWM. That was the best looking one. So we have a bull call debit spread in addition to a way out of the money put spread, the 195s. So we'll move stop 30-minute lows for anything gapping under a stump. Ramp gapping up, sloppy bottoming pattern, not a great price void, possible put spread idea. My BMY alarm going off. We're in trail mode. We sold a third yesterday. Papa Indian gapping down 80. That's a big gap. I saw it this morning. It was gapping to 85-ish. Bearish gap in the middle of the range. I don't know what to do with that. Diode, I can't tell where you're gapping, but another bottoming pattern at the 200 with a price void, so that's worth watching. Gapping down a little bit. Maybe if this gives us a 1, 2, 3, that could be an idea for tomorrow. C-Day getting whacked here, 71.50. We'll come back to you, but it's a very bearish gap. Look, actually this Saturday for one of these trader groups, I'm doing a session on wide range bars. I mean, there's a lot of them on this little chart. Look at this, gap reversal, igniting, engulfing. These are 3 power bars. Here's a 180 reversal. They're both powerful because now that's a failed breakout. So let's see where this opens. I pop a mic gapping up. I have an alarm. Let's just move stop 5-minute low. Really tight, pop a mic.